for everything happening on and off the diamond all summer long. Today we have our fourth ever interview. I'm excited to introduce Jase Johnson from Hutch Community College and heading to Northwest Missouri State this fall. The junior right-handed pitcher from Kansas City attended Park Hill High School. He's getting familiar pitching in the Mink League. It is his second full season playing for the St. Joe Mustangs, but third season playing in the Mink where he fielded on the mound a few times for the Mustangs. So let's start. Last year, you guys were able to finish out on top. You capped off the summer going 2 innings with 2 strikeouts and shutting down the A's in game number 2. Just how were your emotions during that outing and it being the championship series?
I mean, obviously it was crazy. That was kind of my first experience being in that postseason situation, kind of like that. I definitely was very nervous, just kind of stepping into that role. That whole year had kind of been great for me. And then kind of obviously my dad coaching in that situation, the kind of only time I've got to experience that kind of atmosphere really was when he was coaching, especially at the home side of things. But yeah, I went in there high adrenaline and kind of was able to block out all the noise and just kind of stay dialed in the whole time. And um, I kind of knew going into that it was kind of on my shoulders in that situation, kind of hold down the fort a little bit, let my defense do their job, let the offense kind of do their job. And my job is just kind of get up there and throw strikes and fill it up zone.
So you're playing with your dad. Is he a part of the coaching staff for the Mustangs?
Well, he coached, I think it was 9 years. For a few years, he's in the Mustangs. He's in the St. Joe Hall of Fame there. He coached the first game of that season. He's not coaching anymore. He's kind of really enjoying the fan side of things and doesn't really want to step back into the coaching role as of now. But it was kind of awesome to experience that and then kind of go see him after the game, after the fact, and just kind of be like, all right, this is my chance to win my own ring. Don't have to be part of, I think, the 6 that he won while he was there, something like that.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting now with the college landscape. I mean, now everyone wants to go JUCO, so you kind of have to get recruited twice. How was your
Yeah,
recruiting process different from like going from high school to college and now junior college to a 4 year?
for sure. No, I was so out of high school, I wasn't getting recruited super heavy. I had a few schools kind of looking at me, and obviously the dream for every kid is to play Division I baseball or a high level D2 baseball. And at the time, coming out of high school, I thought my best opportunity was kind of just head the JUCO route. Essentially, it's just like another 2 years of high school. Basically, you kind of get another chance to put your name out there and show why you're able to pitch at the college level, and then get some coaches looking at you that way. And then that's how I ended up at Scottsdale. And then after Scottsdale, I came back and last season pitched in St. Joe, and then Trenton Rayler at the time was going to Hutch, and he was like, "Hey, are you kind of wanting to transfer out? Like, kind of what's your thought process there?" And I was like, "I mean, yeah, I would love to compete for a team that's got a chance to win the championship and all that." And he kind of gave me the opportunity to connect with the coach that way, and then that's how I ended up at Hutch. And then kind of being during my fall at Hutch, I got connected with Tony Janner, the head coach at Northwest, and I kind of knew from some of my friends there, obviously Andrew Clark, Jaron Guck, all those guys, Parker Griffith, they kind of let me know that it's a great place to be, great atmosphere to be, and he's, as a coach, has the right mentality kind of going into everything. So
Does that help you like over the year too? Like you're spending time with these guys that go to different colleges, especially at a community college, you're looking for the 4 year. Does that kind of help you? Okay, that guy is the type of baseball I want to play with and friendships along the way.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, obviously, you saw Guck in that last game. He was very dialed, and he's definitely he's been having a great year at Northwest, starting up there. And Andrew Clark is obviously kind of like a dad figure to me. He's one of the older ones for sure. But they allowed me to kind of sense the feel of what Northwest would look like and be like. And it's definitely an atmosphere I want to be a part of, and I'm excited to be a part of for sure. And it gives you a sense of it's more than just a baseball team. Like it steps outside the field a little bit, and it kind of like gives you the feel of, all right, these are the guys I'm gonna be spending the next few years with. These are the guys that, I'll look back and be like, hey, these were some of my closer friends throughout the years playing baseball, that kind of stuff. So
And then 3 years of playing in the Mink, is there really a big difference between summer ball and spring ball, like kind of the like in kind of environment and all that?
For sure, 100%. I would say the nice part about being summer ball is I don't have to worry about classes. Obviously,
Hmm.
that's like the best part of it. I basically get to kind of sense the feel of what it would be like just to dial in on baseball, and basically that's all I focus on. And for me, that's like really awesome because then I don't have to like worry about outside factors at all. It's just kind of hey, show up to the field at 3, do your work, and then wait, and then help everybody else get their stuff done. And then kind of just get ready to roll at 7 o'clock. It's more of the professional baseball feel, which is definitely a nice side to be a part of, especially being in the clubhouse with all the guys, kind of just getting to hang out, that kind of stuff. And another big thing I especially would say, being at the JUCO level myself, just the amount of people that obviously come to the St. Joe games, just the crowd being awesome every night, basically, unless it's downpouring rain. Um, but I definitely I've never experienced a crowd like that stepping onto the diamond, especially in that second game. That was definitely a big, like, holy crap, like there's so many people here. Like all these eyes are on me. This is really awesome. And kind of trying not to hear everything that's going on and like really over stress about all of the fans out there and kind of just focusing on the mound. But yeah, no, those are definitely the two biggest factors that you see a difference of from the college level for sure, at least at the JUCO level and from summer ball.
And then like it's hard as a pitcher to like not kind of care about the environment. How do you kind of block out that there's a lot of fans there and that it
Mhm.
might be a big moment?
Yeah, no, for sure. I will say I was definitely it's definitely tough at first, especially when I stepped out of high school, kind of not experiencing that, and then being at the JUCO level, not having a ton of fans, and not being able to like kind of stay comfortable with that. But when, especially a place like St. Joe, where it's like everybody is always involved in the game, and it's that kind of stuff. There's some things you block out, some things you don't block out, some things you hear, obviously. And for me, it's definitely just like I hear and like I hear my parents and my family that sit right next to the dugout like the whole game. Like it's like super weird to describe, but I definitely like it's just like it goes silent for you as a pitcher, especially in those big close game situations. And when you start to like kind of get uncomfortable, it's when you start to hear everything. It's when you start to feel a lot more than you just should be feeling. Just kind of thinking like, hey, throw that ball over the plate and see what happens, kind of thing. Um, but you just essentially when you're in that spot, you just like space out completely. The world, like everything goes silent. It's just it feels like you're going back to when you were a kid. You're just playing catch with your dad, kind of that type of feel of the atmosphere for sure.
The one thing that St. Joe has to offer that many fans love is the taco hitter. Fans screaming at the top of their lungs. Does that really get to you at all? And does that motivate you to get that strikeout?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely gets to you as a pitcher. Obviously, the one thing you want to do is strike that guy out, and nothing is worse when they hit the worst ground ball of their life, and it's just a ground out, or you walk them, or something happens. But obviously, you want to do the most for the fans. And you want to get get those tacos for those people. But that's like the one moment I think for everything, at least for me, when everything actually opens up to me, and instead of narrowing down on the hitter, I'm like, oh god, all these fans want me to do this, and then the nerves kind of settle in a little bit. Yeah.
So how many have you had? Are you pretty successful in that situation, or do you not recall
Um,
off the top of your head?
I think I've had one or two. It's
Okay.
really I don't know if I've done it a ton, but it's I usually end up getting the short end of the straw where it's like a really rollover ground ball or the guy will square to bunt or that kind of stuff. But I'm hoping this year they'll start picking guys that aren't hitting the ball very well. And so we can actually get those guys out and guys that aren't smart enough to square around to bunt the ball and make sure we don't get those tacos for those fans. But
So that first year you kind of had that stint with the Mustangs. Did you ever kind of have that happen where you were in the situation where the taco hitter was up and then you had to get him out, or was that kind of
I
later
did.
on?
I think it was like my second game that I was pitching. I got called out to the mound and I was throwing, and then I kind of forgot about it because I hadn't been around that in a long time. And they started chanting taco. I was like, oh no. And then like the nerves just instantly settled in. And I think I walked the guy on like 4 pitches, but because you're just trying so hard for that strikeout. And then obviously when you're trying too hard to throw strikes, you don't usually end up
Mhm.
throwing strikes. So
On towards next year, how does like the Mink League prepare you for that following year as you head into the next fall? And how do you kind of balance, I want to work on this, but I'm still competing at the end of the day?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely kind of just like you go in and you kind of get your stuff done. I think we're gonna have 2 days kind of at the beginning of the season, kind of get stuff rolling, get a feel for everything, and kind of get comfortable in that atmosphere. It's definitely, I think all the guys are kind of going back and looking at it like, hey, we got the chance to go back to back here. We're going for that, obviously that double digit championship, which would be huge. Obviously be one of the programs to kind of have like that amount of championships, obviously. But it's definitely just more of a, hey, get into a feel of where pitchers, you're showing up to the field at this time, hitters, you're showing up to the field at this time. This is what we're doing every day, day in, day out. But make sure, like, the biggest focus for sure is just to kind of have fun and enjoy yourself too, and not getting caught up in like, hey, like this is the end of the world if we don't do this right, or hey, we lost this game, it's okay, let's just kind of look at it. All right, this is what we need to fix going into that kind of stuff. But it's definitely I would say more of a less of a, hey, we're focusing on, let's say, like going to regionals or doing all this stuff. Like, hey, our goal is to get to that postseason spot and be prepared to be stepping into that kind of spotlight of things. And we want to host, those 2 games at the end of the season, like we did this year. And we want to come back and we want to win that championship for St. Joe, obviously, and for ourselves. And kind of everything just through the summer builds up to that point for sure.
And obviously for the hitters, the bat is different. It kind of may
Mm-hmm.
change some swings. Do you attack batters differently? And like, do you like do backwards pitching? Do you kind of go a little heater just because the hands might be a little slower?
Sometimes, yeah, for sure, but it just definitely varies on kind of what kind of hitter you have, and which is really nice being at St. Joe too. Our pitching coaches there, Mac, last year, we got great feedback from him, and he kind of gave us some good information on, hey, this guy's doing this with his hands, or this guy's got a really quick bat. Let's kind of try to work backwards on him, see if you can get something out front and roll it over. But me definitely being like a contact pitcher, because from the submarine slots, definitely just like a weirder spot to see it from, and guys kind of vary on how they react to it. I just, especially with wood bats too, obviously the goal is to break the guy's bat, and you kind of want to make sure that guy can't finish that at bat with that same bat. But I definitely, guys with longer swings, you're trying to work inside, see if they roll it over, or guys that have a kind of inside out swing, you want to see if you can get up and in on them so they can't catch up to it, that kind of stuff. You got bigger guys, you kind of want to work away with that breaking ball. It definitely just varies guy to guy, but that's what was super nice about having Mac on the team as our pitching coach last year. Just kind of giving us feedback in between innings, allowing us to see, all right, this is where we went wrong with that guy. We need to do this next time, that kind of stuff.
And then have you always pitched down low, or is that something that as you got older you just kind of picked up?
No, so when I was, I think, kind of when like I actually started pitching when I was super young. My dad was coaching in St. Joe, and Austin Aspergen was a submarine pitcher that pitched in St. Joe, and he was throwing submarine one day, and me being the 10-year-old kid I was like, oh, I want to do that. That looks cool. Like I've never seen that before, and I started doing it so much that when I started pitching with my travel ball team at the time, I couldn't throw a strike from over the top. And then my dad kind of just told me, hey, let's try throwing submarine. I mean, you've been doing it so much to see what happens. And then I kind of from there just picked it up for sure.
I feel like that's every kid's dream is you I want to do that. That's like when someone has a special stance or a special pitching motion, I want to replicate that. So that's kind of cool how that all worked out. So now we're going to
Mhm.
kind of move into the only segment I have on the show called the rundown. I will ask you as many questions as you can answer in 30 seconds. And I'm
Yankees.
bucket list item,
Ooh, bucket list items got to be, I mean, brand new golf clubs.
jersey number.
I think this year it's probably going to be 37 again.
What's your nickname?
Uh, JJ.
Favorite MLB movie, like baseball movie.
Ooh, I'm going to have to go Major League.
Have you been to the College World Series?
I have,
And then
yes.
what's your glove color you're rocking this year?
It's going to be like a cream and a dark brown.
Okay. That was pretty good. So when did you go to the College World Series?
So me and my dad actually we go every year. We
Okay.
try to get some random scalp tickets, and we'll just kind of show up and be like, "Oh, okay." And then we kind of have this thing where we choose. I've been doing it since I was a little kid. We kind of choose a hat from the shop and that's kind of who we're rooting for to win the College World Series, that kind of thing. So
So that one of the things that change every year. Like you don't like say team makes it back to back. Are you still rooting for them, or are you like changing it up every year?
sometimes I will. I had LSU. I think I did it twice. And then I think that was the only team I did back to back. I sometimes try to vary it, have a little more fun with it. That year that Arkansas dropped that foul ball, I wanted Arkansas to win it, so that was
Ah,
brutal. And then Old Miss, I wanted them to win it. The year they had 4 back-to-back home runs. I was super sick, and I was there for that game too, and that was super awesome to kind of be a part of and kind of witness that. But yeah, no, that's something awesome that me and my dad have picked up for sure.
so you said new golf clubs. You guys do you golf a lot in St. Joe? Is that something you can kind of fill in the schedule during the busy summer?
Yeah, for sure. I got some buddies back home here in Kansas City, and then I know some of the guys on the team too. I try to golf obviously as much as I can. Being a pitcher, I don't have to worry about my baseball swing and all that stuff. So I kind of get on the course as much as I can. I mean, a few of the buddies kind of this year we all started really getting into golf, and so we're kind of just like, hey, let's try to go maybe once a week, once every other week, that kind of thing. Try to get out there as much as we can.
Yeah, I'm trying to play golf. Every time I play is that the player that said Tiger wish he could. Like I'm below that somehow. So I struggle a lot, but I'm going golfing Saturday, so hopefully
There you
it
go.
changes.
Yeah.
So we see that there's only one turf field in the Mink. Do you like
Mhm.
playing on the dirt surface, or would you prefer like a turf mound?
I do like the dirt field. I am kind of on the older side of things with that. But as a pitcher, I love the dirt mound feel. I don't have to kind of worry about slipping down the mound, and I like wearing the spikes, obviously, and that's something I really like doing. It feels more like baseball for me on dirt, especially being on the mound, all that kind of stuff. So.
And then when you're traveling, because Mink is you go all over, you have a 2 hour road trip. Do you like identify like how the mound looks and then kind of like change your warm up based on how far you traveled or maybe warming up earlier?
Yes, at least I don't. I know a few other guys do, but I kind of have just if I hear my name on that walkie, I know I got to go get loose. That's kind of just what I do. Especially being below the shoulder arm slot, I kind of just play catch out to 60 feet and then just start throwing. Some days it'll vary. Like when we go out to Carroll, I got to do a lot of mobility, especially sitting on that bus for that long. It's just like, oof, my legs are stiff. Everything feels really stiff. I'll do some stretches before, or I'll kind of do a little like jog, that kind of thing, get the heart rate going again, get some blood flow kind of moving.
And then especially going from the pen, how do you kind of stay fresh? Say you were warming up, but then you sat down and then the next day you're actually pitching.
Yeah, usually that'll depend like if I'm at home and it happens, let's say on a Thursday where I get called up and then obviously they sit me back down because pitcher starts doing really well. Happens a lot for sure. I will get out on the field the next day at like 3 o'clock. I'll make sure that I'm doing a little bit more than I did the day before, or a little bit less depending on how long I threw the day before. If I was up for like a few pitches and they're like, "Hey, actually, never mind," just be like, "Okay." And then if I was up for like let's say 3 innings, just playing catch the entire time, and then my arm's kind of a little tight, I'll just focus the next day more on like stretching, rolling out, band work, cupping, that kind of stuff, just to loosen my body back up again and feel fresh for the next day.
So you emphasize recovery. How does nutrition kind of play a role into how you pitch and how you play?
Yeah, no. Being at St. Joe, it's super nice to kind of have that clubhouse for us. Is one of the best perks I would say about being in St. Joe. Um, it's definitely something you have to really pay attention to. Being at the field, obviously, from when we get there at 2:45 till let's say 1 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. Um, and it's just a long day and kind of that sort of stuff. Which being in the clubhouse, we've got peanut butter and jelly stuff. Some days the concession stand will give us some stuff to kind of stay fueled, and we got the gas station right up the road. But I last year during the summer I started kind of meal prepping some stuff and bringing some stuff with me because we got a microwave in there. I'll throw it in there, making sure I get proteins, all that kind of stuff. Staying vigilant, I guess, on the mind side of things and like the health side of things. So I'm not going out in the 7th inning like, dang, I'm really hungry or my stomach hurts or something else that I don't need to be focusing on is kind of catching my attention rather than just doing my job on the mound and pitching.
Yeah, that is very important. I mean, I feel like emphasizing the nutrition. So, do you guys like eat Uncrustables, or are they just like actually you make your own PB&J? Is that
We do. We have we got I mean probably 8 loaves of bread in there
okay?
before every game, and then a little tub of peanut butter and some squeeze bottles of jelly. I will say we do have a shortage of knives. We end up using like the handles of forks, but no, it's definitely super nice to have that, especially like middle of the game. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm kind of hungry. Let me go in there real quick, grab a peanut butter and jelly, and then get out because it's nice source of protein, a little bit of sugar, kind of gets you amped up and ready to go for the game.
So, is your dugout kind of connected to the locker room, or do you have to actually walk out to the locker room?
So we've got kind of a walk. There's a walkway path that kind of takes you out to the right side of the field in foul territory, and we'll kind of walk out of our dugout up a little ramp, and then our door to our clubhouse is right behind our dugout. So it's not like super strenuous. Obviously, we try to vary how much we walk back in there during the game so that we don't catch the attention of random kids that want autographs or that kind of stuff. Um, and our coaches kind of make sure that we're like, hey, let's focus on the game, that kind of thing. But it's super nice that it's quick and you kind of hit a quick jog in there and get in there. And then once you're in there, nobody else can kind of come get at you. So it's super, super quick and easy that way.
And then, say you pitched the day before, how do you kind of like just soak in what Phil Welch has to offer?
I mean, I will use all the advantages that I can for sure. We've got our training room in there, especially with the recovery side of things. I do cupping, some rollout stuff, that bands, all that kind of jazz. But we obviously have a ton of area around the field, which is super great. We got the pickleball courts, basketball courts, that kind of stuff, and then we got that ice rink right next door too. But it's very nice to be able to kind of go on a run, kind of get some feel like that, get out in the sun, kind of work the blood flow a little bit, get my body moving, remove some of that lactic acid throughout my body, and then just making sure I'm staying moving and having something to do, knowing probably that I'm not going to pitch that day, or either going to the gym whenever I got an extra hour before the game or something like that, or if I show up to St. Joe, 45 minutes early, hey, I'll go in there, do a quick little routine, and then kind of come back to the clubhouse and hang out with the rest of the guys.
And then like the road, you have some road stints throughout the year. How do you like stay lifting and stay getting that like getting stronger each and every time you can get in the weight room?
Yeah, it definitely just comes down to what time I go. Usually, I'm definitely not a morning person, so I'm more of like an afternoon night lift guy. But obviously, being on the road like that, I can't kind of just leave my game and go lift. So I'll end up going right before pitchers have to be there. I'll like show up at like 2 o'clock instead of 3. I'll go do my lift and then kind of show up to the clubhouse, or I'll just end up waking up a little bit earlier, kind of forcing myself to get up and then getting into the gym.
As we wind down the interview, what are some goals you have as you head into this Mink summer?
I'm shooting for the pitcher of the year. That's obviously the goal for every pitcher. I want to be obviously that championship. I want to get number 10, go back to back. I had one earned run last year. We're going to try to make that 0 this year. I know that's a heavy, heavy goal, but I'm going to shoot for that this year. And then the biggest thing is kind of just doing my job for the team, getting us closer to that championship game, keeping us in every game I can, holding leads, or making sure the run differential isn't too high, or making sure that kind of stuff, and doing my job, obviously, in the clubhouse and in the dugout when I'm not pitching and not on the field, just keeping everybody up, keeping the spirits up, staying loud, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's very exciting. This will conclude the interview. I thank you taking your time out of your day to talk with me. I'm excited to see what you can do over the summer.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
That is all we have today. Please like and subscribe as we continue the marathon of Mink baseball.